Hey there, Christy with Automation on a Mission. I'm so sorry that my holiday music is not starting or cooperating properly. So we're just gonna dive into part two of our discussion and planning for the upcoming holiday shopping season. So if you remember from our previous training, we're talking about how to plan and execute the perfect Small Business Saturday, Black Friday special for you, your business, your clients, your community, your revenue, and your bottom line, all the things. So let's dive into our topic. So in this particular training, we're going to talk about some of the nuts and bolts and the essentials that you need to be ready for when it is time for you to actually start talking about things. So I'm going to share my screen. Alrighty, so putting it into practice. So we're going to execute on our discussions from our previous training. So last week's training, we talked specifically about setting our goals, getting clear on what our KPIs are. We're talking more big picture. So now we're going to take that big picture down another layer, and we're going to get into some of the more granular and specific pieces of information that we need to know, have in place. Maybe think about it from the perspective of it's time to start doing the work to make this a reality, okay? And why, again, are we having this conversation on October 15th? I don't know what the temperature is where you are, but it is currently 78 degrees outside. I could be wearing a short sleeve shirt if I want to, if it wasn't for the fact that I totally drenched myself with the hose about 20 minutes ago, so there's that. But we're gonna plan for this now, knowing full well and good that in a couple of weeks, it's gonna be cold, we're going to be busy, and the last thing that we're going to want to do is put all of this together at the last minute. We don't want to cram, so we're going to plan ahead. And if you're still like, I don't really understand why we're having this conversation right now, I want you to remember what life is like for you, your business, your family, when you hit November. When we start thinking about Thanksgiving, we are busy with holiday parties, we're busy with our holiday shopping, we're busy with counting the days down until we get to take a break or a vacation or what have you. So it is a hectic time of year, and most of the things that I just mentioned are personal things. And the reality is those personal things impact how we work and show up in our business. So if you have the luxury and the ability to schedule this into your time now, it is time well spent. And let me just tell you how grateful you will be to your past self when you hit that week when it's time to turn it on, and you can say, good job, Christy, you've done the work, you've made all of this happen, great job. So in the previous training, I gave an example of what not to do when it came to like managing resources. And I shared that last year we did the full thing. We were Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, all the days, all the milestones. We talked about it in advance. Everything that I was covering, I did. And then I proceeded to stuff myself into a truck and move across the country with all of our animals in tow. And let me tell you how grateful I was when it came time to turn it on, because the last thing that I had time to do when it came time for Small Business Saturday was to build that structure, was to build the automations, was to create the emails, was to make the social media posts. I didn't have it. I didn't have the mental capacity. I didn't have the physical time. My priorities were elsewhere. And that is a normal thing. So before the rest of the year moves faster than you can blink, use the time. And with that, I'm going to get off of my soapbox and we're going to get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to be thinking about is, what does it take to ramp up your campaign? And when I talk about your campaign, think about this thing as a launch. You are launching a new product. Even if the product is something that you've been selling for a long time, you want to launch your special offer, your irresistible offer. So the thing that you want to do first and foremost, in addition to starting early with your planning, you want to start early with how you talk to your audience. So as you're thinking about building your strategy, I want you to think about it from the perspective of how far in advance can I start talking about this to build anticipation, to get people excited. Maybe you're saying, sneak peek or coming soon, or you give people a little preview of something. Those are great ways to build anticipation. Are you officially selling? Is the cart open? No. And Can people be like super awesome, super jazzed about what's ready to come? Absolutely. So what does that look like for you in your business? Well, how early do you want to start talking about in social media, in your emails, in your networking channels, all of those things? How early do you want to start building anticipation by sharing exactly what is coming down the road? And how much information do you really want to share? I want you to think about how you communicate your offers. And also, if you're planning today for Small Business Saturday or Black Friday at the end of November, you have a little time to not only create a single offer, but how amazing would it be to create an offer for your past customers that's different from the people who've never purchased from you? And what would it look like if you created communication for even more granular audiences within your ecosystem? So here's what I mean. So if you have people already in your system, that means that they know a little bit at least about who you are because they asked for something, you got their name and their contact information. Maybe you give them early access, but maybe you give your past customers something that's special and just for them. Whereas your cold prospects, maybe you give them like a brand new offer that's only for new customers. So different ways to approach the discount or the savings opportunity. Hey, I want to start with new people. I want to bring in new clients. And this doesn't obligate you to do all of them. I'm just giving you different ways to think about how you can maximize this shopping period for you and your business. So you can do one of them, you could do, two of them, you could do all three of them, totally up to you. So last year, what we did was we created an approach for existing community of members, Automation Unleashed members, and we created promotional content for the people who've never purchased from us, and we shared that in our social media channels. So I basically went the route of two different things. I'm gonna bundle or lump my social media contacts with my warm leads. I offered them something special, and then I offered my existing customers something special, and they were two separate offers. Now, the thing about that is, one, it's really awesome that you can give that unique messaging to those different and special unique audiences. However, it's more work. So really gauge how much time do you have, what do you have in terms of bandwidth, whether that's mental clarity or the actual physical time to go and build, because all of this stuff, if you're thinking about two different audiences, then everything that we're talking about from this point forward, you can just multiply that times two. If you're doing this for three different kinds of audiences, for example, everything we're doing, you're going to multiply times three. So that's your pages, your emails, your social media, like all of that stuff is stuff that you really have to consider in how do you prepare yourself for this event. And then I want you to be thinking about how you go about increasing your frequency. So as you are starting out, you don't necessarily need to be like, fire hose distributing emails 6 times a day and text messages and social media posts and videos and this and that. But as you get closer to that launch day, or as you get closer to that offer coming to expiration, or when you're going to close the cart and make those offers no longer available, you may increase the frequency. And so if you've ever planned an event or participated or I'm talking as simple as a birthday party, we have a tendency as human beings to want to wait until the last minute. And I say that I hate event planning. And I always feel for the people who are event planners, and that includes wedding planners, because you have to herd the cats at a level that is unlike anything else. But when we are business owners and we are pushing for something like an exclusive offer that has a definitive end, we're essentially experiencing the same thing. And that is that people are not, they are moved by urgency. So if you're giving them tons of time or a cart that never closes, that urgency doesn't exist. So we want to increase the frequency of our communications through all of the channels that we decide to use as that date comes, as the expiration starts to come to close. So because people are going to be more inclined to take action before it goes away than they are, oh my God, I'm going to get on it right away. Unless, of course, you're doing a limited product offer and it's hotcakes, it's going to disappear, really quickly. So just some things to be thinking about and why that increase in frequency matters. So you've experienced it. You've signed up for a webinar and gotten the reminders. You've been on somebody's mailing list that's promoting an event and you see you know, the increase in frequency, we're doing the same thing. You've participated, now take that knowledge as as a recipient and turn that into a structure that you can use in your business with your strategy for your specific campaign. So next, we're going to talk about creating the content and the strategy for your messaging. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to create a schedule for your content. And I'm not talking about, I need you to flesh out every single email, et cetera, et cetera. I want you to print out a calendar for, let's say, the entire month of November and maybe even December as well, because maybe you want to give yourself a little extra time. If you're not, then don't print December. But let's print out a calendar for November. And also, if you are a digital only paperless business, use your Outlook, your iCal, the calendar that you have inside Automation on a Mission. The goal is I want you to see the big picture of what your month looks like, your weeks look like inside that month, and the individual days. And if you were to just start by saying, okay, so my goal, what if I even said, my goal is to create 14 emails and 10 social media posts. Okay, so then I've got 14 emails to work with. Here's my launch date, here's my close cart date, and then I'm gonna scatter. And what I typically do is I work backwards. So if the launch date is my official like open cart date, and let's say my close cart date is 2 days later, and like again, this is just an example. Maybe there's 3 emails that are part of my launch and my close cart, and actually let's go with 4 emails for my launch all the way to my close cart. That gives me 10 emails that I can spread out, and we want to increase the duration of time from that launch date all the way to that very first email. So this is why I like to work backwards. So I start with the most important thing, and you know, my emails and my touches being email, text, social media, phone calls, all the ways that you may communicate with your audience. We're going to have lots of touches, you know, right before the launch, all the way to the close cart. But maybe we start to spread those out the further away we get from our time, because again, the urgency isn't there yet. What we're doing is planting seeds. What we're doing is getting the conversation going. So by the time the launch happens, nobody should be surprised. And why do we do multiple touches? Couple reasons. Number one, I want you to think about all the places in your own life where somebody has likely sent you multiple emails, but it was the third one that bonked you upside the head, and you're just like, oh my God, I kind of need that thing and I'm going to go buy it. Now you've been seeing it for a while, but you haven't really given yourself the mental energy to really pay attention. So even if your first 2 emails landed and I even may have opened them and read them, maybe I didn't have the emotional capacity. So our touches not only help us from the perspective of you're going to hit them when they're ready, it's also because in marketing, we know that it takes multiple touches for someone to take an action. So if that's the case, a single email isn't going to cut it. A single text message ain't going to do it. You have to be prepared to create enough content so that it's a home conversation. It's a household conversation. It's, oh yeah, that's right, Christy is doing this thing, and everywhere I go, I know what Christy's up to because she hasn't let me forget about it. And it's not about being a pushy salesperson. It's about being of service to your audience. Do you have financial goals? Yes. Do you want to make money during your Small Business Saturday promotion? 100%. There is nothing wrong with that. And you can do all those things and be of service to your buyer by making sure they know what the offers are, when that offer is coming available, when the offer is going away, making it super easy for them to buy by ensuring that you're in their inbox. So I really want to challenge you, if this feels uncomfortable, when you think about the sheer number of touches in email, social media, text, et cetera, I want you to give yourself a little grace, give yourself a little permission, remind yourself about what your own experience looks like during the holiday season, recognize that you are not the only one planning for Small Business Saturday or Black Friday, and that millions and millions of other businesses are doing the same thing. So you need to make sure that your messages are hitting home when it really counts, okay? So the purpose of creating your calendar to begin with is just identifying your touches. And what I mean is email, text, email, social, you know, whatever it is, just put that on your content calendar to begin with. And then once you have your touches and you know how many of those things, you can even then go back and get that a little bit more granular. Okay, so in this one, my theme is urgency. In this one, my theme is telling a story of transformation. In this one, my email is setting the expectation for what the timeline is going to look like and how they can participate. Those are ways that you can. So again, I'm not asking you to solve all the world's problems in creating your calendar. I'm asking you to take this big goal and turn it into something small, bite-sized that you can manage. Okay. So I don't know if you've ever done anything like run a marathon or 5K or anything like that, but let's use the Couch to 5K example, because I think a lot of people have done a 5K before, and there are apps that you can download onto your phone that will help you train for a couch to a 5K. And if you start on day one of getting off of your couch and training for that 5K, you're not running a 5K on the first day. You are starting with something much smaller. And the goal is by the end of that training period, however long it is, that by the time you reach race day, you are ready to go. So same thing with marathon planning. You may start with running 1 mile, but after the weeks of consistent training, your body is physically, your mind is mentally able to run 26.2 miles. And the way we get there is we start with small, manageable, digestible, achievable goals that we execute. And then all of those individual things put together is what makes it possible for us to run the marathon. And the same thing is true for how you can go about executing your strategy. The goal first is print out a calendar. The second goal is put your launch date on the calendar for your thing. If you're celebrating or concentrating on Small Business Saturday, that's your launch day. If you're going to offer your special offer for like a period of days, what's your close cart date? Your close cart date could be the same as your open cart date. You could only be observing Small Business Saturday because your goal is to keep things simple. Totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. So that's the next step. After that, how many emails do I want to create? If you don't want to set a number, but you just want to pinpoint on that calendar the dates of your touches, then do that. And identify what kind of touch it is. Is it an email? Is it a social post? Is it a text message? So that way you're able to see the bigger picture. Quick side note, this is a marketing strategy that you should consider for every part of your communications. So with Automation on a Mission, we have a content calendar, and we recommend this to all of our clients as well. And the goal is, if we are sending out a newsletter, if we are creating a blog, if we are running promotional content, everything goes on the content calendar. And here's why it matters. Because number one, I can see what the rest of our strategy for the year looks like for all of our blog content. Because as I have an idea, I stick it on the schedule. As we are fleshing out the structure for our newsletter, it's fleshed out in our content calendar. And I know blogs go out on Tuesdays, newsletters go out on Thursdays. So all my other content is going to go out on those other days of the week so that I'm not harassing my subscribers. I know that those are my protected days, and all this other time is then open and fair game for my promotional opportunities, other value that I want to share, things like that. So when you create a content schedule, it's not saying I'm going to write the blog or I'm going to write that specific email. It's focusing on the big picture, which then makes the creation of the content that much easier to achieve. So we're going to get big, smaller, to the point where then we're ready to write the email. Then we're ready to create the text message. Then we're ready to create the social media post. If you're using a tool like Asana, for example, which is what we use to manage our content calendar, you can put the content in there until you're ready to actually build the emails, or you can build the emails or the text message or whatever it is right inside your automation builder and your email builder. Totally up to you. But the goal is to get clear on how many touches, get clear on exactly what that touch looks like, maybe a theme, and then get to work on writing the actual content itself. And then going back to our segments. So again, I mentioned the whole, you could have special offers for existing clients versus your or past clients and versus people who've never purchased from you before. As you're doing that, what are some ways that you can create that messaging content so that it goes to the right people talking about the right offer? So maybe you're giving special access and loyalty bonuses for people who are taking advantage of something early, or maybe these are things that are specifically for your past customers versus Introducing you to your services would be for somebody who's never worked with you before, right? And then thank you offers and personalized discounts, again, for somebody who maybe worked for you or worked with you in the past. So knowing what those offers are, getting the messages custom tailored, and then getting the messaging actually written for those individual audiences. Again, if you have multiple segments that you're creating offers for, then every segment you are doubling the workload, or you're adding that, you know, exponential addition to your workload. Okay, so after you are creating your marketing strategy, it's time to start building your funnel. Now, the funnel in our system is going to be where you sell your products and services. Now, the things that we're talking about here are going to be specifically for, not for lead generation, but specifically for conversion. So, and our conversion is a completed sale. So things that you want to make sure are clear is, as always, we have a clear call to action. We want to make sure that our landing page has a clear, focus on exactly what they need to do. Are they buying? Are they getting a discount? Are they getting started now? You know, if you have a limited number of products, making sure that you're clear on exactly what that is. If you're offering a limited time thing, maybe use the countdown timer. So we've got two different kinds of timers now. Number one, we have a countdown timer that's just a countdown timer to show you and help create urgency. And then there's a countdown timer that's associated with your links. And that countdown timer, you create your countdown timer with that specific expiration date, and you connect it to the link itself. So when the timer is still working and the expiration hasn't occurred, then that countdown timer is going to show how much time is left remaining. And you can put that then on your sales page, you can put it on your emails, all those places, and you can tell it where you want it to go after the timer expires. So let's say, for example, you create a special sales page that is only available on Small Business Saturday. So the timer counts down until midnight on your Small Business Saturday, because that's the day that offer is no longer available. And then when that offer expires, it redirects maybe to your homepage, for example. Or if you're selling a product for, let's say, 30% off, and you already have a sales page that offers it for the regular price, maybe you redirect the expiring link to the right place where they would go to buy it for the full price. So that's another way that you might be able to achieve that. So we want to make sure that we are helping emphasize the urgency of our limited time offer. Always, we want to make sure that our offer and our sales page is functioning for mobile, especially recognizing that an overwhelming majority of our customers are going to be viewing our offer on their cell phones. So let's make sure that it looks great and functions and performs as well, if not better, than on desktop. If you are interested, you have the ability to create upsells, downsells, and order bumps. So we've done trainings on this very recently. So an upsell is, you're going to buy these sneakers for, let's say, $50. And that's a savings because they're regularly $80. And when you make the checkout, they get to the thank you page. Hey, don't you want these pink sparkly shoelaces? They're going to go awesome. And they're only an extra $3. And they click the button and it's just added to their order and they don't have to think about it. So an upsell is just another way of increasing the value. An upsell could also be, maybe you get to watch this webinar as your purchase, and your upsell is you get to download it and have a copy of it for your own keeping, for whatever reason. A downsell, maybe they can't afford your core offer. So what can you do that's a lower price that is maybe less bells and whistles? And then an order bump is typically done on the page that has the core offer. So if we go back to our pink sneakers, our yellow sneakers and our pink shoelaces, we're going to sell the sneakers and the shoelaces at the same time. And the shoelaces are just a checkbox. So they get to see it at the time that they are making a purchase. So it's just like it's just a little add-on. What's a pair of shoelaces between friends? You know what I'm saying? And then the last piece that I want you to be thinking about and be really conscientious of as you're creating your funnel is your thank you page and your confirmation page, because it is the most unsung hero in our sales strategy. A lot of times what people will do is thanks so much. And that's the best case scenario, and maybe an order receipt. But again, a thank you page could be a place for an upsell. A thank you page could be a place for you to get them to take their next steps in whatever that process is. So if you're selling something like time with you, maybe your thank you page is also where you put your calendar so that they don't have to go to their email to book their scheduled call. So there's an example of how to take advantage of that thank you page. Maybe it's inviting them to share the page with their friends and their family because they've bought, so don't they know somebody else who needs X, Y, and Z thing. So those are different things that you can do to take advantage of the thank you page, maximize it for you and your business, maximize it for the customer experience as well. Okay, and then my last slide that I want you to be thinking about is those automated email sequences. So, and it's not just email, it's your automated sequence altogether. And what I want you to be thinking about is in any scenario, whether you're talking about segmenting your offer or not, I want you to think about two different automations. There's the automation that promotes what's coming, and that could be, let's say, my example earlier, I said something about 14 different emails that from the time that you announce that you're going to do something all the way to the cart is coming to a close and the offer has gone away. You want to have a series of emails that go out. Maybe there's text messages, maybe there's a manual action that you put in there to call people, whatever that circumstance might be. One automation's sole job is to promote your event. It's to promote your launch. Small Business Saturday, Black Friday, I love my birthday and you should too, whatever that is. That's one, is promotional. The second automation is what happens after they purchase. And so the first part of that automation should be fill in the blank, pause for effect. The second automation should first and foremost remove them from the first automation, because if they've bought, they probably don't need to be continuing to be reminded to buy again, right? Because they've already bought. So they don't need the reminders, and it feels tacky for them to continue to get messages that say, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, because they did buy your stuff. So step one in your delivery is removing them from the promotional automation. Step two is to create any sort of follow-up related to your offer. So when I say at least two automations, there could be many. So let's give the example of you have a special offer for your existing clients and you have a special offer for the people who've never purchased from you. And what you're selling is two different things. So now I've got two automations that promote, and I will have two automations for delivery, one for the people who purchased in the past and one for the people who haven't. So when I talk about being aware of the workload that you have in front of you, be mindful that it's emails, it's text messages, it's building the automation, it's testing the automation, it's making sure that everything is working to your liking. It's building your funnel pages for past clients, new customers, building at least one thank you page. Sometimes you can maximize a single thank you page and all roads lead to the same thank you page. But I'm really just trying to get you to be mindful of segmenting is amazing, providing different offers that are going to be exactly what your ideal buyer wants and also where they are in the buyer journey matters, and plan for the workload that comes along with that. So what that means is if you're committed to two offers, one for clients and one for non-clients, then you're preparing yourself for two completed funnels, 4 completed automations, and so on and so forth. So I challenge you to do the very best you can, and you will thank yourself for it in December when you're on the other side and you're able to learn from the experience, both the things that went really well and the things that didn't. You're able to learn from the sales that you made. You're able to learn some new metrics that you can use for a future launch, a future promotion. And all you're doing is improving and refining your own business systems. So I hope that this has been helpful. I am really challenging you to take advantage of Small Business Saturday, Black Friday, take advantage of the opportunity that not only is everybody else selling, but so is everybody else shopping. So if they're shopping, why not shop in your business? Okay, thanks so much as always. Until next time.